Okay, well, good morning, seventh grade. I hope you all are doing well. We are on a new lesson for this new week, and it's on 11.2. And whoa, if I can spell, this is absolute value. Okay, absolute value. And this is maybe a concept that you have heard before. This starts on page 485. Really not a very hard concept. I expect you guys will get this quite easily. So, here's the most important thing I can say probably today, and that is this. Absolute value is a distance. Okay, now think about this. This next sentence is huge. Distance is never negative. Okay, have you ever thought about that? I can never go from here to here a negative distance, right? You can never go from your house to the church a negative distance, right? You can never fall a negative distance, right? Even if you go down in the ground, you're going a positive distance, okay? So that's very important. Distance is never negative. So the way we write the absolute value sign looks like this. So I'm going to have a number. Let's say I have 4. If I have these two lines that look like that and that, like two skis around it, then that means absolute value. Okay, so if you see a number that looks like 4 and has those lines, all that means is I want to know what is the distance of 4. Well, the answer for the distance of 4 is 4, right? It's a distance. So if I have 4 units, then it's a distance of 4. Now, here's where absolute value is really cool, is because if I have negative 4 and I have absolute value, what's the distance of 4 units? It doesn't matter that it's a negative 4. The distance is still 4, right? Because you can't have a negative distance. So when I take the distance of how far is 4 units, it doesn't matter which direction I'm going. It's still only 4. It's not negative 4. It becomes positive 4. Okay, so that's not very hard to understand, right? So if I have negative 28 and the absolute value of that, 28. What's the absolute value of 28? 28, right? It doesn't make the positive a negative, right? It keeps it as it is. Okay, so these are the same. So this thing here is the same as this thing here in absolute value because they have the same distance of 28 feet or inches or whatever it is. Okay, not hard to understand. You guys definitely know how to do that. Now, this is where this gets a little harder because in this lesson, obviously, if they just had you do that, it'd be super easy. So they gotta make it a little harder, and they say something like this. This is example 2, and this is on page 486, and this is the example that they give. They say we have absolute value of 52 minus 8 times 5 absolute value, all that divided by 10. Now, really, all they're working on here is your order of operations. So that we come up here and we always do absolute value first. Okay, so number 1 is absolute value is first. Okay, absolute value. So I come up here and I look, and then I say, guess what? I don't subtract first because multiplication, right? Remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Well, what's first here is multiplication. So I have to rewrite this now. Absolute value of 52 minus 40. 8 times 5 is 40. And I keep the absolute value sign. Now I come down here and do what is 52 minus 40? 52 minus 40 is 12. So I go down here and I have 12 absolute value divided by 10. Well, I take the absolute value now of 12, and I get positive 12 over 10, which is 6 over 5. Okay, and I can leave it like that, or I could write it as 1 and 1 over 5. Okay, either way, we can do it. So this is all about order of operations, okay? So let's do another one. Let's do this. The next example on the next page, this is example 3, and it has 3, and then it has times a negative 8 in absolute value sign, all of that plus 4. Now remember, I always have to do what's in absolute value signs first. So I rewrite the 3, and then I do times, because this is multiplying, that's what that means. The negative 8, though, when I have absolute value, turns into a positive 8, and then I keep the plus 4. Now I do order of operations, and which is first here? Multiplication, which is 24, 3 times 8, plus 4, and my grand answer is 28. Okay, now I want to do another one here for you. I'm going to do skill check 2. Okay, so you need to follow along. This is skill check 2. Okay, and on skill check 2, the first one here is -10 plus 4 times 9. Okay, now again, the first thing you need to do is always in absolute value. So you take the absolute value of -10, and that turns it into +10. Then we have plus 4 times 9. Now again, order of operation says that I do this one first. So I do 10 plus 36. 4 times 9 is 36. Add them together and get a grand total of 46. Okay? So you need to watch that again. Do absolute value first. Then you have to do order of operations. So now let's do skill check number 2, part 2, which is the absolute value of 8 minus 5 plus 2, all of that divided by the absolute value of -4. Now what I do here is I do the absolute value of this top guy first. So what's 8 minus 5? Well, that's 3. And I take the absolute value of 3, and that's also 3. So I get 3 plus 2 divided by the absolute value of 4. So I add the top. What's 3 plus 2? Well, that's 5 over, and now I have the negative absolute value of 4, which is now 5 over. I take the absolute value of -4, and it's a distance, so it's +4. So there's my answer. Or if I want to rewrite that, it becomes 1 and 1 over 4. Okay, so either way, you can write the answer. Okay, this is not very hard. So absolute value is a distance. It's just changing the sign from a negative to a positive. It's already a positive. It stays positive, right? So just one final thing here. If we have -110, absolute value is 110. If we have 110 absolute value, it's also 110, right? These are the same answer. This one does not become negative, okay? It's not the opposite like we did in the last lesson. It stays the same, okay? So here is our homework for today. It is page 487. This is, nope. It is 11.2, and we are doing 2 through 42 even. Okay, a lot of ones that are very straightforward. You guys shouldn't have any problem with them. Please let me know if you do. Good luck and enjoy the rest of your Monday. Mr. H is over and out.